Tonight on Cronkite News, we are at Mountain America Stadium where ASU football cracks the top 25 and may be eyeing a Big 12 championship.
Plus, see how both the ASU men's and women's basketball games went down last week at the Footprint Center versus Grand Canyon. And tech leaders from around the world gather in town to discuss the future of the Valley's booming semiconductor business. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Kayla Marina. It was a busy weekend for ASU athletics, and we have our very own DeAndre Sanders at Mountain America Stadium with more.
That's right. Huge weekend for ASU and their fans as the playoff push just got a whole lot more interesting. ASU picked up a huge road win over Kansas State in what was their most important game of the season so far. ASU's defense came out hot, forcing a pair of turnovers in the first 20 minutes of action. On the defensive side of things, Jordan Tyson caught a pair of touchdown receptions early, and his big day will earn him Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week honors. The Devils took a 21-0 lead into the half and never trailed en route to their victory. Coach Dillingham knows the importance of his team's second-ranked win of the season.
I mean, it's amazing what momentum does. I mean, you make a great play the second play of the game, and, and the rest was history. So that was a game-changing play, that second play of the game, just from a momentum perspective. And the best thing that we did was that we then, the next drive, we held them on a 3rd and 1, held them on a 4th and 1, and then we went down and scored again.
In the Big 12 standings, there are just 4 teams separated by 1 game. BYU and Colorado both sit 6-1, and ASU and Iowa State fall right behind at 5-2. There are only 2 weeks left in the regular season. So looking at the remaining schedules for these 4 teams, all eyes are on the Cougars and the Sun Devils on Saturday. Kickoff is at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time on ESPN. Colorado will go on the road to play Kansas. Iowa State will head west to face off against Utah. All of these games are critical down the road, especially for the potential tiebreakers. If the Devils can win their next 2 games, they put themselves in great shape to make the Big 12 championship game. It is important to note that the Devils, they do not have full control of their path to Dallas for a chance to make the playoffs.
We're coming off an emotional win. They're coming off an emotional loss. We both somewhat control our own destiny. So which team should actually have a little bit more vinegar in them, piss and vinegar in them? Probably the team that just came off some negative. Not the team that's being told how great we are. It's the team that's being, questioned right now. So they definitely have an advantage when it comes to, mindset.
Yes, there will be plenty of tension on ASU as they continue their push for a Big 12 championship. Now over to basketball, where 2 in-state rivals clashed at the Footprint Center. Our Cronkite News reporter Stella Ty has more on the men's basketball showdown between ASU and Grand Canyon.
A Valley basketball battle unfolded in the packed Footprint Center as nearly 14,000 fans flocked into the stadium to be a part of the 2024 Hall of Fame series. Both coaches enjoyed the March-like atmosphere.
Game to be a part of. I think it's great, for the city, for the state of Arizona to see, two teams of that caliber just, go at each other. I thought it was, quality basketball.
Despite a tight 1-point dogfight before the break, the Sun Devils took control in the second half, where they used the 14-4 run to get their first double-digit lead of the night. The freshman guard, Josan Sanem, put up a game-high and career-high 21-point show.
Oh, yeah, a little bit in warm-ups. I wasn't really missing, I ain't gonna lie. And, and I just came in the game. He ran a play for me and just started off hot.
ASU's offense we have seen this year is totally different from last year. After dropping 15 three-pointers in a win over Santa Clara earlier this season, the Sun Devils were shooting lights out again with 11 three-point shots, which contributed to this significant victory over their Cross Valley rival.
To see, what we're doing, particularly at the offensive end, I think has been real positive.
After missing the first 3 games, GCU star guard Tyan Grant Foster finally returned and made his season debut. However, it took the defending WAC Player of the Year nearly 15 minutes to get his first bucket, but he still left the court with a team-high 19 points.
It was definitely, a little rust, from his end, and I think that carried out through our team. There was a little, get used to each other type again feeling.
Not only did ASU hand GCU their first loss of the season, but they also knocked off their in-state opponent in all of their 3 meetings in the past 5 seasons. In Phoenix, Stella Tai, Cronkite News.
That's right. So the Hall of Fame tournament did not just feature the men's basketball, also featured the women's basketball game between GCU and ASU. These two squads know each other also well as they faced off against one another last year in Tempe. The Sun Devils had a decent first half on both sides with a 42-33 lead at the break, but the momentum shifted to the Lopes, who launched an 8-0 run to take the lead midway through the third quarter. GCU extended the lead to double digits behind senior guard Alyssa Durazo Frescas, who posted 22 points. ASU, however, did commit 14 turnovers in the second half, where they scored a season-low 17 points. The Lopes beat the Sun Devils by double digits to secure the crosstown victory.
We did a lot better being clean, being disciplined, being under control. So sometimes you just need that regrouping moment to come back and be yourselves and play the brand of basketball you can play. And that halftime was it for us.
My teammates gave me all the confidence in the world. It's not all me. It's Tiara, it's Trinity, it's Laura, it's Coop, it's Alasia, it's the coaches. They give me the confidence I can shoot wherever I can and wherever the line is. It doesn't matter. They have full faith in me, and
an exciting weekend for sports that took place here in the Valley and will continue this Saturday when ASU and BYU kicks off. Speaking of that game, the ticket prices are increasing. Online tickets are going anywhere from a few $100s to even $1,000. Students are waiting impatiently as they were waiting for student tickets to be released, which came out early this morning. Live in Tempe at Mountain America Stadium, Cronkite News, back to you guys at the studio.
Thank you, DeAndre. Coming up next, a relationship with a dog can be quite the connection. We'll dive deeper on canine dogs and their extensive training after the break. Plus, Arizona is experiencing cooler weather. Stay tuned for your full forecast after the break.
There were no engineers around me, so I had to become my own role model. At ASU, I wasn't just learning to be an engineer, I was actually engineering. And graduating, I already had real-world jobs lined up. Before ASU, my goal was to be a strong, confident woman. And when I left, I became a strong, confident engineer.
Innovation at the Walter Cronkite School is pushing the boundaries of traditional journalism.
Storytelling has evolved over the years. This is part of that evolution.
Students in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab are using emerging technology to create scenes in augmented and virtual reality, coding playable games, and bringing the audience into the story.
They're only limited by their imagination and their willingness to learn.
Find out more at cronkite.asu.edu.
The scientists and engineers that support the next mission to Mars could be in this class.
Getting a degree at ASU is a journey that can take you anywhere. Into a world of groundbreaking technology and renowned award-winning faculty. Professors who help you to impact the world. Whether you're on campus or at home, becoming your best starts with learning from the best.
Despite being on a bye last week, the Cardinals remain in first place in the division. The Cardinals lead by 1 game over everybody else in the division. Here's Jonathan Gadden reflecting on the Cardinals' time off.
The bye week's a good time to kind of reset and put a lot into your health bucket. Take a little time off. I'm sure they all had a couple honeydews, you know what I mean, which you don't have time for during the regular weeks. But they're back in here. There's a couple things I look for when you get back in the building after some time off, and we've handled them well. So we'll see at practice what it looks like today.
The Cardinals now shift their attention to this week's game against the Seattle Seahawks. It will be another crucial division game for the Cardinals as they look to keep flying high, riding a 4-game winning streak. The Arizona Law Enforcement Canine Association hosted their 21st Desert Dog Police Canine Trials and Public Safety Expo. Fans got to witness what it takes to be a canine officer in active duty. But there's a lot more that makes a canine awesome. I spent some time with a canine officer, seeing the bond that helps make them a good team.
They're fast. They're fierce. They're brave. And when the horn blows, they are tough competitors.
We are the largest police canine competition in the nation, so we consider ourselves kind of like the world championship of police dog competitions.
To be a world champ, these 4-legged officers run through the paces in 2 action-packed days of on-field obstacles, real-life scenarios, and agility. And while they're at it, throw in a little PR between competitions.
We end up getting a lot of folks out here that don't know any police officers, has never been around police officers, and they come out and gain a whole new understanding for what it is that we do.
More than 55 teams from across the U.S. were showcased at the Desert Dog Police Canine Trials. Their skills showing the best of canine police work. But these canines are not just groomed for sport. They are working officers that require extensive training with their human handlers.
So we're buying European sporting dogs. As soon as we get the dog off the airplane, the dog will bite that suit. They understand that. They've done that since they were puppies.
Officer Derek Vucevic is a 10-year veteran of the Scottsdale Police Department. Rocco, his partner, have been fighting crime together since the dog was 3 years old.
Come on, buddy. Rocco's a narcotics dog, so he's a 4-odor narcotics dog, which means that he is basically trained to find any derivative of meth, so methamphetamine, heroin, cocaine, and then now fentanyl.
The training to become a canine officer takes a lot of work. When duty calls, Rocco is ready for action.
Let's go, Rocco. Come here.
Even if he takes his commands in Dutch.
You could understand all of the commands in whatever language it's in, and if I have him out looking for you, he's not going to care because he listens to me, and that's part of that bond that we have.
Once you become a handler, you're a handler for life, the dog's life, as canines like Rocco live with Vucevic, his wife, and 2 kids like any other family dog.
He's mostly like a normal dog at home. So there are basic ground rules for them. You know, they don't like pull on him, pull on his tail, pull on his ears for obvious reasons. But overall, Rocco is really good.
While their partnership is built on trust, they also help each other when one goes down. The strength of his bond is tested on the job and in the competition ring. This year's event wasn't Rocco's finest, but Vucevic doesn't seem to care. These officers know the real work is out here, where Rocco helps protect the city just like any other public servant, just on 4 legs.
Yes. The Vucevic household is constantly protected, not just by Rocco, but also by the retired canine dog Maverick, who has now earned his role as a couch potato after 9 years of hard work. Speaking of couch potato, it's been chillier these past couple of days, which makes me want to curl up and watch a movie. Elizabeth Klein joins us now from the Cronkite Weather Center. Elizabeth, are there more cold days in the future?
Yeah, thanks, Kayla. Tonight by 8 p.m., we're going to be sitting at 60 degrees. Then as we get to 10 p.m. tonight, we are going to be sitting at 56. Now, if we look at the lows across our state tomorrow, Phoenix will be sitting at 48 degrees. Then we'll see 34 in Payson. Up north in Flagstaff, we'll see 18 degrees. And then we'll see a low temperature of 9 degrees up in Window Rock. Now, if we compare our low temperatures to the temperatures across the nation, and Albuquerque will be sitting at 26 degrees, Kansas City 35, 43 in Chicago, and then if we look south to Florida, Miami is going to see a low temperature of 73 degrees. Now, if we look back to our state, those high temperatures across our state for tomorrow, Phoenix will be sitting at 72 degrees. We'll see 57 in Sedona, 45 in Flagstaff, and then Window Rock will see a high temperature of 43 degrees. Now, if we look into the 8-day forecast, by Wednesday, that high temperature is going to be sitting at 78 degrees. Now, this near 80-degree temperature is going to bring us into the weekend. By Sunday, that high temperature will be sitting at 75 with a low of 49. So this is going to be those great game day temps. Then by Monday, that high temperature will be 74 with a low of 52. And this is going to put us at about the average for this time of year. Then as we look into Tuesday of next week, that high temperature will be 72 degrees with a low of 50. I'm Elizabeth Klein in the weather studio. Kayla, back to you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Coming up next, about 2 weeks after the election, all the votes in Arizona have been counted. We'll share the final unofficial results of the 2024 election after the break.
When I was younger, there were no engineers around me. So I had to become my own role model. At ASU, I wasn't just learning to be an engineer. I was actually engineering. And graduating, I already had real-world jobs lined up. Before ASU, my goal was to be a strong, confident woman. And when I left, I became a strong, confident engineer.
Innovation at the Walter Cronkite School is pushing the boundaries of traditional journalism.
Storytelling has evolved over the years. This is part of that evolution.
Students in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab are using emerging technology to create scenes in augmented and virtual reality, coding playable games, and bringing the audience into the story.
They're only limited by their imagination and their willingness to learn.
Find out more at cronkite.asu.edu.
The scientists and engineers that support the next mission to Mars could be in this class.
Getting a degree at ASU is a journey that can take you anywhere. Into a world of groundbreaking technology and renowned award-winning faculty. Professors who help you to impact the world. Whether you're on campus or at home, becoming your best starts with learning from the best.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Wilder Adams with your news headlines. Several international leaders descended on Tempe today to talk about the semiconductor manufacturing that's done right here in the Valley. As Cronkite News reporter Ignacio Venturo shows us, cooperation between different countries helps to advance the technology.
Semiconductors help make modern technology function. From cell phones to computers, these materials provide for people's everyday usage. The Vice Minister of Foreign Trade of Costa Rica highlights the semiconductors' importance in specific items.
Today, Costa Rica's main export product is medical devices. So we have a quite comprehensive advanced manufacturing ecosystem that comprises semiconductors.
In February, Arizona State University announced its reception of a $13.8 million cooperative agreement from the U.S. Department of State. This agreement would enhance a resilient supply chain for U.S. semiconductor manufacturers, according to the department.
So for the last couple of years, we have been working hard to try to reestablish or boost the semiconductor industry in the United States to create jobs in places like Arizona, Texas, Ohio, New York, and elsewhere.
The International Technology Security and Innovation Government Leaders Forum promotes efforts to increase semiconductor manufacturing and work with international partners. That includes countries like the Philippines.
Well, we hope to deepen relationships and have a greater knowledge about companies' needs. We know how fast the industries are evolving, and at the same time, we'd like to look for new opportunities for entry of Philippine companies.
The forum provides an opportunity to strengthen relations with foreign partners. In Tempe, Ignacio Ventura, Cronkite News.
The forum runs through Wednesday of this week. Nearly 2 weeks after the election, all of the votes have finally been counted. And this year, 80% of eligible voters here in Maricopa County cast a ballot. Maricopa County election officials have shared the final tallies. There were a little more than 2 million voters in the general election, but just 12% of people actually cast a ballot in person on Election Day, which means 87% of voters in Maricopa County cast an early ballot. President Joe Biden met with world leaders to discuss key topics such as the global economy, climate change, and President-elect Donald Trump taking office once again. Ahead for the G20 summit, President Joe Biden spent Sunday touring the Amazon, observing the effects climate change has had on the rainforest. This is Biden's last G20 summit and urged world leaders to continue assisting those in need. Meanwhile, the latest data shows inflation ticked up slightly last month. The higher prices come just as Americans get ready to celebrate Thanksgiving. So how is inflation impacting your grocery bill? CNN reporter Jen Sullivan reports there's actually both good and bad news.
Hosting Thanksgiving this year may gobble up your wallet. Shoppers are expecting to spend an average of about $431 this year. That's up 19% from last year, according to LendingTree.
19% is a big jump.
Matt Schultz with LendingTree says inflation is a big concern for consumers. A recent LendingTree survey found 27% of shoppers say they'll change food choices because of high prices.
Anybody who is going into this Thanksgiving season expecting that they're going to be able to get a little more bang for their buck this year than they did last year is going to be pretty disappointed.
The latest consumer price index shows inflation ticked up to 2.6% in October from last year, with housing-related inflation accounting for half.
This was about what people expected. It shows that inflation is not where it was a couple of years ago.
So, how will all of this affect your grocery bill this Thanksgiving? Finance Buzz looked at Butterball brand turkey prices across the country earlier this year and found a 15-pound turkey, which serves about 10 people, will cost an average of around $31. That's down 12% from last year. Other items that have dropped in price, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, potatoes and white bread. Here's what will cost you more: milk, butter, and cheese.
Making Thanksgiving a potluck is such a great way to control costs. If you're hosting Thanksgiving, it's already enough of a production just with all the work that you have to put in.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Back here in Arizona, flu and whooping cough cases are on the rise. Influenza kills about 800 people per year in Arizona, and whooping cough can be life-threatening for children. And the surge in flu cases came early this year. According to the Arizona Department of Health Services, there have been 563 whooping cough cases so far. That is the highest number of cases Arizona has seen since 2015. That is all for your news headlines. I'm Wilder Adams, sending it back to the desk.
Thanks, Wilder. Coming up next, the Postal Service is honoring a TV legend with a new Forever stamp. Find out when you could purchase the stamp honoring the late Betty White when we return.
When I was younger, there were no engineers around me. So I had to become my own role model. At ASU, I wasn't just learning to be an engineer, I was actually engineering. And graduating, I already had real-world jobs lined up. Before ASU, my goal was to be a strong, confident woman. And when I left, I became a strong, confident engineer.
People have always had trouble trying to put me into a box. A professor, suit and tie is just not me. Without the ocean, I don't know what I would do. You know, the ocean's always been there for me. As Hawaiian people, we believe that the coral is the first living being to come out of the darkness. It's the foundation of our entire lifestyle, and that's what my research is about. What we do is we take photographs of the reef over long periods of time to create models that can tell us what the planet is doing. If we go deaf to what the Earth is telling us, then we'll never be able to live in harmony. If I can get my students excited about protecting the ocean, then they're the ones who are gonna really make the difference. I hope my students realize that I'm not trying to prepare them for something in the distant future. Their time is now at Arizona State University.
tonight a very special honor for one of America's most beloved actresses.
The U.S. Postal Service is honoring the late Betty White with a postage stamp next year. White passed away nearly 3 years ago, just a few weeks shy of her 100th birthday. White appeared on TV for decades, including on The Mary Tyler Moore Show and, of course, as Rose on The Golden Girls. The Postal Service's new slate of stamps will also feature a tribute to artist Keith Haring and musician Alan Tuchon. That's it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm Kayla Marina.
And I'm DeAndre Sanders. Thank you for joining us. And to see top stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.